There are so many awesome things we're about to add to this car that they were just never going to fit into one video. So this video is going to be entirely about getting your car unstuck if it falls off the edge of the map or if it topples upside down. And to see the car toppling upside down, the car needs way more space. I thought this ground 2 was going to be enough, but it's not nearly enough space for our car. I'm going to delete ground 2 and just make ground 1 way bigger. I'm going to go to the mesh instance and change it from 50 by 50 to 500 by 500. You might notice that the material has scaled up with me, so I need to go to the UV section of the material and change that to 100. So it's 10 times as big, just like my ground. And then I need to make sure to remember to also scale up the collision shape, or my car is going to fall straight through the ground. So I'm going to click on the collision shape and change that to 500 by 500 as well. And now you'll be able to see what I mean by the car toppling over. As soon as it reaches a half decent speed, and I try to turn the car, then without fail, it's been toppling. And I've been looking for a long time at all of the settings in the car, trying to work out which of them is making it still roll over, and it turns out it's none of them. The thing that's been making my car topple is actually the collision shape. Apparently, the collision shape in Godot controls where the center of gravity is on my car, and when it takes up the entire car like this, the center of gravity is so high that it's always just going to be rolling over. So I need to change my collision shape just to a normal box shape, and I'll set the shape roughly to the size of my car, which is 1.7 in the X direction and 4.5 in the Z direction. But instead of giving it its full height, I'm just going to give it a height of 0.6, and then because that's centered on the origin, I'm going to transform it up by 0.3, and then I get a shape that's almost exactly the same shape as my car, but it's not nearly so high. It still covers most of the bonnet, but the good thing about this shape is it's got a really low centre of gravity. It's still going to collide with basically everything our car would have collided with before, but now the car will not roll over no matter how fast I go. It can still roll over if you go up a ramp and end up upside down, sort of force yourself to roll over, but it's not going to roll over just because you're trying to turn. So this feels much better in game. If you were playing around with a car that didn't have a collision shape like this, you'll notice it was very hard to stop the car toppling over. So it's very satisfying to have a solution to that. We just need to change to a slightly simpler collision shape, and now we have a car that doesn't topple very often. It can still fall off the edge of the map though, so we're going to go to our player script and grab the bit of the code that we wrote all the way down the bottom of our player script to reset the player if his Y position goes too far below the screen. So below -20 is the number I used for our player. If I copy that code into our car script and our process function, then now if our car's position goes below -20, which means it's fallen off the edge of the map, then we're going to reset the scene using that line of code, which is calling change scene to file when our function's finished, and it's changing the scene to the beginning of the scene we already have. And because there's still a chance that it might topple over, and because right now there's absolutely nothing you could do about it if it did topple over, we're also going to allow the user to reset the game when they hit the escape key. So I'm going to add my input function, just like we did on our player, input. And if the event is an input event key, and the event has been pressed, so the key's been pressed rather than released, I'm going to check if the user's typed the escape key by writing if event.keycode equals key escape. And if they have, then I'm going to let them manually reset the level. That way, if you ever get too stuck with just this upside down car that you can't get out of, pressing escape will reset your game as well. Testing that out, if I ever feel that there's just a position I just can't get out of with this car, which is going to be pretty hard to make happen now, but it can happen, then I just hit the escape key and I go back to the start of the level. Similar things should happen if you make it to the edge of the world. Might be hard to test now that we've got such a large world, but you can just take my word for it that if we manage to make it all the way to the edge of this big map, which I think I'm about to, there we go, we'll fall off and the level resets. So that's it for this video. Awesome stuff coming up with our car in future videos.